Man, it has been a crazy E3 so far. It's been very busy. There's been a lot of games, and we all know about the weirdness of E3 this year. It feels kind of strange. The impact, the hype, the level of energy has felt a little subdued for sure. But I think that it's hard to argue with the amount of quality games that have been shown so far this year. Obviously, we know the big problem of all of these games, or most of these games, being shown off with no gameplay at their E3 press conferences, which has been very frustrating and very, very strange. Lots of CG trailers not giving us good glimpses of what these games are going to be like. But I think if you look at the quality of games overall, it's still been impressive. I mean, it's been a crazy E3. And then, of course, Nintendo's Direct yesterday actually ended up totally destroying everything and being so great with so many great games and reveals. And yeah, it's made for a pretty nutty time. So what I wanted to do then was, of course, my obligatory top 10 games of E3. Everyone likes to do these because it's just a lot of fun to put things that you like in order and rank them in a list. And that's what I want to do today. So it is right now early on in day 2 of the show floor of E3, so there's still a lot of stuff happening. Nintendo's Treehouse is going, plenty of live streams covering a lot of games. My one caveat for this list is I'm only picking games based off of what was shown in all of the individual press conferences. So any other live streams or hands-on demos that they have been showing after press conferences have concluded, I'm not including that because that would drastically affect some level of games. I'm just talking press conferences here. And while we all know what the greatest moment of E3 has been so far...
Yeah. Okay, but let me tell you, the feeling of being there, of walking the streets of the future, is really going to be breathtaking. You're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking.
I think it's now time for us to instead get into the nitty-gritty of the actual games themselves. So, again, games based only and solely off of press conferences. This was very hard to do, as it always is. I moved games around like 1,000 times before I finally settled on my 10. And so with that being said, let's just jump into number 10. And so coming in at number 10 is The Blair Witch. So when it comes to this game, it's a pretty simple and easy thing to please me. I love horror games, I love horror movies, and The Blair Witch Project itself is literally my favorite horror movie of all time, and seeing a game created based off of The Blair Witch is really exciting. It seems to be first person. There's definitely a lot of gameplay in this trailer, but it's also more about setting up the tone and the atmosphere. I love what it's doing, even though we've seen like an overwhelming amount of games set with somebody with a flashlight in the woods over the past year, or a couple years, I should say. But, you know, this is the Blair Witch game. So, like I said, I'm a simple and easy guy, and this is just something that speaks to me on a specific level. I talked about how at first I thought it was either an Outlast game or even a Silent Hill game. I got a weird Silent Hill kind of vibe from it. But, you know, the fact that it's not that is okay because I love the lore that it's building off of here. And you're somebody with a dog lost in the woods trying to hide from the Blair Witch. They're obviously bringing in lore because of someone standing in the corner at the end. And I don't know what to say. This just speaks to me. I am so very excited. It comes out in August this year. So The Blair Witch comes in at number 10. Now coming in at number 9 is a game I never would have anticipated I would include on this list. And it is the Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I gotta be honest with you guys, as somebody who's really just not a Final Fantasy fan, I was blown away by what they showed. They finally took significant time to give us a real demonstration of this game, discuss the mechanics, showed actual gameplay, and they confirmed something that makes me more excited to play it. The fact that it's effectively like a real-time battle system and you're really just running around as Cloud with his huge Buster Sword, beating the crap out of enemies, again, in real time. As somebody who's not a huge RPG fan, I'm also somebody who doesn't love overly complex turn-based battle systems. You know, I have enjoyed some in the past. You know, it's not that it's impossible for me to like them, but I really don't prefer them. It's not my genre of choice. And so turning Final Fantasy into this kind of game just appeals to me more. And I know that maybe for, longtime fans, it might seem kind of disappointing, but for me, it just gets me really excited. Love the visuals, loved what they showed, incredible demonstration, great looking gameplay. So surprisingly, Final Fantasy VII comes in for me at number 9. At number 8 so far for E3 2019 for me is the Dragon Ball Z RPG, which appears to be called Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, potentially. And I have definitely learned it is a game I cannot show footage of, unfortunately. But this game looks amazing. This was revealed many, many months ago with just a title. And it was like, Dragon Ball Action RPG? Well, that sounds great. What is that? And then it showed up this year. And I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, man. My girlfriend and I are currently going through Dragon Ball Super. And we're loving it, and I just want a Dragon Ball game that isn't a one-on-one fighter. As amazing as Dragon Ball FighterZ is, because really that game is incredible, Dragon Ball games have almost always been just fighting games. They've attempted a few times to make story-based games like The Legend of Goku or whatever on the Game Boy, and then of course that Dragon Ball Sagas game on the 6th gen, and they were okay attempts. But they've never really nailed it, and this seems to be telling the entire Z saga, at least up through Frieza. They show the Vegeta fight, and then they show the Frieza fight, so we at least have that to go on. Hopefully it goes through the entire story and the entire arc through the end of Buu. That's kind of my hope. But as a Dragon Ball Super fan, and somebody who's wanted more of an action game or an RPG, I should say, action RPG like they're calling it, I'm pumped. This game is just going to be so incredible. I'm very, very excited. So it comes in at number 8. At number 7 is a game that if we had seen more of, I probably would put in the top 3 or 4. I am over the moon for this game, but they only showed us, a couple of minutes of a couple of things, nothing too crazy. And that is The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for the Nintendo Switch. And I've said it several times to you guys, this is one of 3 Zelda games I've never played. And they're all handheld games. And this has been one that has an amazing legacy. It's supposed to be an incredible game. And I can't get enough of the art style. The gameplay looks fantastic. I've said before, my only concern is if the game is too simple and easy. And I hope that it's a very long, expansive experience with a lot to do and some pretty significant challenge and puzzle solving. But even if it turns out to be a simple experience, I know I'm still going to love it because it's Zelda. It's going to have that look and sound and feel like a Zelda game, and it's an adventure that I've never played. I don't really understand the story of the Windfish, and I don't know what that big-ass egg on the mountain is. I've never known this. So I just can't wait to play what is effectively going to be a brand new Zelda game for myself. Like I said, if we saw a little bit more, it would be higher, but based on the minute and a half or so they gave us, still incredible, so it comes in at number 7. At number 6 is Watch Dogs Legion, which leaked just a few days before E3 happened. And despite Ubisoft having one of the worst press conferences I've ever seen, their 10 or 15 minute demo of Watch Dogs Legion was amazing. I was initially concerned about the idea of playing as a bunch of different people because I liked playing as, one protagonist in the first 2 games, especially Watch Dogs 2, which I think is an underrated masterpiece. That game was so freaking good. But as I saw what they explained and how it's a really organic system with how you can play different people and you have to build up their reputations, you learn their backstory, you become part of one overall DedSec unit, I just was like, yeah, actually, this sounds pretty cool. I think it's going to work well. They showed the great Watch Dogs gameplay. I can't wait to play in London, to see them recreate that city, get outside of the United States, and do something like in another country. And London is such a great city to do it. And I mean, as a huge fan of the Watch Dogs games, I can't wait to play this. And I think their demonstration was incredible. And it was gameplay. So major props to them for showing 10 minutes of gameplay. So yeah, I'm a sucker for Watch Dogs. Comes in for me at number 6. At number 5 is Luigi's Mansion 3. Now this is a game that is so high partly because I'm already just dying to play this game because I love Luigi's Mansion, and also because they gave us a significant breakdown of gameplay mechanics and they showed like all this gameplay, talked about new modes, new mechanics, online stuff, Guigi, all those crazy things. And this game is also turning out to be just what I wanted it to be, so it seems, where instead of having just a bunch of different small mansions you go to, it's one big mansion like the first game. And I'm sure it's going to be 2 to 3 times as big as the original game. And it's set in a hotel that apparently turns into this haunted mansion at night or something crazy. It's just the perfect Luigi's Mansion experience. And as somebody who was 20, 21 years old when the first one came out on the GameCube and just had my world rocked by how much I loved that game, I can't wait to play another game like this and just kind of relive those memories. And I think it's going to be a really great game. They didn't give us a specific date, which makes me nervous, but they did still confirm that it's this year in 2019. So that part was a good sign. So either way, yeah, I don't know, man. Luigi's Mansion is just my jam. It gets me so pumped and excited, so it comes in at number 5. And at number 4 is Doom Eternal. And what do I even need to say about Doom? You know, I don't even need to say anything. All you need to do is watch it. You just need to hear it, see it, play it, understand it, know it. It's going to be badass. And obviously, if you played the 2016 Doom reboot, then you know that, because that game already put in the foundation for what this game is going to be. And if you understand how that game played and felt to play, then you understand how this game is going to play. And when you see all the crazy, insane new stuff they've thrown into this, you have something to go on as far as what it's going to feel like. And it just looks amazing. They've added so many new mechanics and new weapons and mods and stuff to this game, and they've shown a crap ton of gameplay. The greatest thing here is that Bethesda has not shied away from showing us an insane amount of gameplay for this game. They are not keeping it a secret, and I think that is the best way to handle something like this. So, you know, similar to Luigi's Mansion, this is so high partly because it's just one of my most anticipated games, and because at E3, including on stage, they showed so much gameplay, like so much gameplay, and it's delivering on all fronts. So in no surprise, Doom comes in for me at number 4. All right, cracking into the top 3, and at number 3 we have Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And I know everyone's going to cry and moan about EA, and I get it. I hate EA too. They've been screwing up Star Wars ever since they've had the license. I totally agree. But this game is also developed by Respawn, so Respawn has a good pedigree. The gameplay we've seen looks absolutely incredible, just what I could ever wish for it to be. And they're maintaining no microtransactions. They're maintaining single-player story-focused game. And so I don't really care for what happens in the future if they tell us at that time that, oh, we're lying and here's a bunch of microtransactions. When that happens, I'll call them out and I'll tell them I'm probably not buying their game. But right now, while they're maintaining all the stuff we want to hear, based on the incredible trailer we've seen, I'm in, man. I'm hyped. Star Wars is my favorite thing in the universe. I love the story they're telling between episode 3 and 4. After the Order 66 purge, you're a lone Jedi Knight, you meet Saw Gerrera, and the combat looks amazing. This game looks perfect. It is literally everything I want it to be. So I'm a Star Wars fanboy, and they're telling us good news so far. So even though I hate EA and I wish that they weren't publishing it, I like Respawn, I love the gameplay we've seen, I'm excited. So Jedi Fallen Order comes in for me at number 3. And number 2 is a game that really showed and told us almost nothing, but is going to be so amazing and was so exciting. It doesn't even matter. None of us need any of that stuff to be hyped for this game. And it is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel that they confirmed at the end of the Nintendo Direct yesterday. Now, obviously, they did show us in-game stuff, like cutscenes and whatnot, or whatever was happening there, but they didn't show us gameplay. I don't care. This game is going to be everything we want it to be, you guys. What a crazy surprise reveal to show it to us that soon, and to show us that using this engine means it also looks identical. Because you have to remember, guys, a video game engine can be used in a lot of different ways, and it doesn't have to necessarily look identical from game to game to game. But in this case, they've chosen to stick 100% with the same tone, art direction, style, everything. And that's fine, because it reminds us all of Ocarina and Majora's Mask, where they did that at that time, and it worked wonderfully. So, you know, they seem to be underneath Hyrule Castle. It looks like that was Ganon, I'm assuming, who woke up after being defeated. Spoiler alert! and something was happening to Hyrule Castle where it was like lifting off the ground, right? So my hope is that this game ends up taking place in a different land, not the same Hyrule map we played in Breath of the Wild. And if that's the case, just, oh boy, it's going to be great. But no matter what they do, no matter what their plans are, it's going to be amazing, you guys. A Breath of the Wild sequel. I mean, I hope it has a different name, too. I hope it's not Breath of the Wild 2. And it probably won't be. So I don't know, man. That was Nintendo's and one more thing moment for this year, and it was so effing perfect. So over the moon. Oh my god, cannot wait for this. So, in no shocker, the new Legend of Zelda game comes in at number 2. And coming in at number 1 is my fanboy pick, and you already know what it is. It is No More Heroes 3. This was my geek out moment of the show, you guys, of the entire E3 so far. And if you've seen my reaction to Nintendo's Direct, you've seen that. I had tingles, you guys. This game has been my dream for almost a decade, since maybe even a decade. I think it might have been 2009 or 10 since No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle. And this whole time, I've just been begging for that world, for Santa Destroy to come back, for another real Travis Touchdown game and experience to come back. And Travis Strikes Again, that came out earlier this year, was fine. It's okay. I enjoyed it. I gave it like a 7. It's definitely like a fine game, but it isn't a real No More Heroes game. And it really just whet our appetites for the real deal. And holy crap, it turns out the real deal exists. And Suda was messing with us this whole time, and No More Heroes 3 was already a plan. They confirmed it for next year, 2020, so let's hope that they stick to that date and that they don't have to delay it, because remember, Travis Strikes Again got delayed as well. That was supposed to be 2018, and it ended up moving to January 2019. So maybe that happens with No More Heroes 3, but I honestly don't care, you guys. I just love living in a world where I know this game is real. No one saw this coming. This was such a surprise. Okay, it was a surprise. I shouldn't say no one saw it coming, though, because there was kind of some discussions over the last couple of days, like, oh, Suda might tease a No More Heroes 3 or whatever. And, like, I didn't believe it, and it didn't make very big news, so I don't think people were really thinking about it. And so for me, it still came as a surprise, man. I was like, oh my god, just wow, and I don't really know that they were showing gameplay. It seemed like when he was doing all his wrestling moves and his final slash moves, that wasn't gameplay, but it did look great. It was very impressive. Just seeing and hearing Travis back, talking his shit, doing his thing. I'm the real assassin. I'm the hero. I'm here to save the world. Like, God, that just gets me going. I'm freaking, I'm getting excited just talking about it again, you guys. I love Travis Touchdown so much. So, hey, I'm geeking out. This is a fanboy pick. This is a pick that only people familiar with this very small cult series will be excited about. But I don't care. It's my personal number 1 for the show, No More Heroes 3. So, there you have it, man. 10 amazing killer games to discuss. These were the 10 that stood out the most to me. There were plenty of other games that looked amazing. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is going to be one of the greatest games I feel like I've ever played. Deathloop is going to be fantastic. Ghostwire is going to be fantastic. Cyberpunk 2077. I mean, the list just goes on and on. There's so many games. Wolfenstein, I just can't even. There's just been so many games this year. Even with some really crummy press conferences, it's a lot of good games to play and get excited for, and that's always a good thing, you guys. And this is also without Sony present at the show. Let me just remind you of that. So, either way, these are my 10 favorite games of E3 so far. What do you guys think here in day 2 of the show floor? Please discuss my list, my 10 picks, and of course, I want to hear what your picks are and your favorite games of the show are so far. And with that being said, this video is a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Ro2R Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.